The Orcadian Devil. For the past few years now, I've been living by the north coast of the Scottish Highlands, in the northernmost town on the British mainland. Like most days here, I routinely walk my dog, Maisie, along the town's beach, which stretches from one end of the bay to the other. One thing I absolutely love about this beach is that on a clear enough day, you can see in the distance the Islands of Orkney, famously known for its Neolithic monuments. On a more cloudy or foggy day, it's as if these islands were never even there to begin with, and what you instead see is the ocean and a false horizon. On one particular day, I was walking with Maisie along this very beach. Having let Maisie off her lead to explore and find new smells from the ocean, she is now rummaging through the stacks of seaweed when suddenly, Maisie finds something. What she finds, laying on top a stack of seaweed, is an animal skeleton. I'm not sure what animal this belongs to exactly, but it's either a sheep or a goat. There are many farms in the region, as well as across the sea in Orkney. My best guess is that an animal on one of Orkney's coastal farms must have fallen off a ledge or cliff, drowned, and its remains eventually washed up here. Although I'm initially taken back by this skeleton, grinning up at me with molar-like teeth, something else about this animal quickly catches my eye. The upper body is indeed skeletal remains, completely picked white clean, but the lower body is all still there. It still has its hoofs and wet, dark gray fur, and as far as I can see, all the meat underneath is still intact. Although disturbed by this carcass, I'm also very confused. What I don't understand is, why had the upper body of this animal been completely picked off, whereas the lower part hadn't even been touched? What's weirder, the lower body hasn't even decomposed yet and still looks fresh. At the time, my first impression of this dead animal is that it almost seems satanic, as it reminded me of the image of Baphomet, a goat's head on a man's body. What makes me think this is not only the dark goat-like legs, but also the position the carcass is in. Although the carcass belonged to a sheep or goat, the way the skeleton is positioned almost makes it appear hominid. The skeleton is laid on its back, with an arm and leg on each side of its body. I'm not saying what I found that day was the remains of a goat-human creature, obviously not. However, what I do have to mention about this experience is that upon finding the skeleton, something about it definitely felt like a bad omen, and to tell you the truth, it almost could have been. Not long after finding the skeleton washed up on the town's beach, my personal life suddenly takes a somewhat tragic turn. With that being said, and having always been a rather superstitious person, I'm pretty sure that's all it was. Superstition.